Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling off, confused, maybe guilty, or like you did something wrong, questioning your own reality even? Well, my friend, you may have just encountered a master manipulator. But don't worry, today I'm pulling back the curtain on the dark arts of psychological manipulation, not so you can use these tactics yourself. Please don't. But so that you can spot them before they get you and start messing with your mind. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. I am Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby. I'm the founder of Growing Self Counseling and Coaching and the host of the Love, Happiness, and Success podcast. And so today we are breaking down the 5 most powerful and common manipulation tactics so you can understand what they are, why they work, but most importantly, how to deal with them when they come up so that you can shut them down and not get sucked into being controlled by them. Because whether or not it's a partner, a family member, a friend, or even that one coworker that somehow never takes responsibility for everything. We see you, Chad. By the end of this video, you will have X-ray vision into their playbook and also the confidence to reclaim your power in these moments. So let's get right into it. First of all, tactic number 1, the guilt trip. Have you ever tried to set a boundary with someone or a limit and had them say, oh, don't worry about it. I'll just take care of it myself. Or what about, oh, you're absolutely right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I'm the worst person ever. That, boom, right there. That's a guilt trip. And this is very manipulative. Even if people aren't doing this consciously, because it's not always conscious, honestly, what they're doing here is making you feel like a terrible person for doing something completely reasonable, like setting a healthy boundary, taking care of yourself, or heaven forbid, having needs, rights, and feelings of your own, right? And this can happen all the time. In my experience, a lot of times it happens in family relationships or with partners. Your mom keeps texting you and calling you during the day, and you're like, Mom, I can't be taking your calls while I'm here at work. But she doesn't respond like, oh, thanks for letting me know. Sorry. Instead, it's, well, I know how busy you are. I mean, I'm just here by myself all the time. Like that. So that's hard because all of a sudden you have this big guilt surge. And what does it do? It makes you feel like you're wrong. And it also mobilizes this love and care like, oh my gosh, my mom is so lonely. I need to be there for her more. So what happens? All of a sudden, your boundaries are out the window. And that's a bad place to be in. So the way to deal with this, first of all, is by just knowing what to be watching out for. And this is anything that mobilizes your sense of obligation to someone, that makes you feel like you need to step in and make them feel better, how lonely they are, they have such low self-esteem, they're a terrible person. Or if they're saying, oh, that's okay, I'll just take care of it, don't even worry about me, I know how busy you are. Like, those are the signs. And so here's what to try. Just stay calm, stay unbothered. I hear you're upset. I care about your feelings. And honestly, I hope that we can find a middle path here. Mom, I can't take your calls at work, but I can call you on the way home. Would that be okay? So try to find a win-win, but also stick to your guns. I hear that you don't feel good about this, but it is actually okay for me to have a boundary. I know that you have your needs. I also have mine, and I'm not going to be controlled by you trying to manage me through making me feel bad. We're not going to do that anymore. That's a strategy, and you can say that out loud. Now, another tactic you need to be on the lookout for are people who are playing the victim. Now, this can be related to the guilt tripper, but sometimes it's a little bit different. And let's talk about what that means. So somebody who's really good at playing the victim is always going to have a lot of big drama going on, a lot of personal crises, adversity. Somebody else is doing things that are making their life harder or preventing them from possibly being able to follow through on their commitments and responsibilities, right? There is always somebody else in the mix making their life hard or some kind of adversity that they're dealing with. And this can be especially sneaky because many times what this does is make you feel like the bad guy for even asking them to step up, take responsibility, follow through, or acknowledge their own part. Like, how could you possibly do that to someone who's going through all these terrible things, right? But I think what can be harder to see is the way that you are being actively controlled by someone who is mobilizing your kindness, your empathy, in order oftentimes to get out of doing stuff that they really should be doing. This often happens in workplace environments is when I've seen it the most. The coworker who never meets deadlines, who always has something going on. They're sick, their cat is sick, their car is broken down, somebody else's car is broken down, they need to do something, whatever it is. But whenever something happens, they always have a reason why they can't do it. And you are made out to be the bad guy if you possibly suggest that they figure out how to do it anyway, because everybody else has stuff going on in their lives, right? And we all have to show up at the end of the day. And so this is why it's so manipulative, is that when you don't understand what's really going on, what happens? You wind up apologizing. You wind up saying, oh my God, I know you can't even think about that right now. It's okay. I'll take care of it. And they're like, oh, that's so nice of you. That's how this works. So here's how to shut this down is by, first of all, staying empathetic, right? That's part of your core value system and nobody wants you to be mean, but also don't rescue them. Try saying things like, that sounds tough and I'm sorry you're going through this. And we also have this important deadline on Friday. So what do you think the solutions are that will help us get to where we need to go on time in light of everything that's going on? And here's another thing I want to say that is not just an important tactic for how to handle people who are doing this, but is also actually a very loving thing to do and in service of their growth. And it's this, letting them face their own consequences, because growth doesn't happen when people are rescued and enabled and buffered from feeling the consequences, the pain of their own actions. Instead, when we are able to take a step back, not rush in to solve the problem, that will oftentimes help people understand that what they're currently doing is not a good long-term solution, and that maybe it's time to grow and do something different. Another very fun, often effective manipulation technique, believe it or not, is love bombing. And this is a fun one. It feels good at first. And this can happen in romantic relationships, also new friendships, even business relationships. Anytime someone new showers you with over-the-top attention, affection, praise, believes things about you that are wonderful without there actually being a basis in reality for them to know that because they've known you for 3 days, those are all signs that love bombing is afoot. And here's the thing. Healthy relationships take time. It takes a long time to get to know people. Sometimes people are excited to meet you. Sometimes it's not intentional. They just have really bad boundaries. But other times, people are rushing you because they want something from you. And the way to handle this is just to back up, slow down, call it. Say, we're just getting to know each other. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that yet. And also test their boundaries. Say no, don't be available. If they respect you and respect your pace, that's great. If they get pushy, if they get mad at you, you understand what's going on and can make decisions accordingly. Now, another really effective way of manipulating other people is through the silent treatment and through withdrawing from a relationship. Now, this is a passive strategy, but it works really well, particularly if it's in the context of a relationship that you care about. So you do something, say something, don't say something that the other person thinks that you should have, and all of a sudden they're not talking to you, they're not returning your calls or responding to your texts. And this is a really tough situation to be in, because what they're basically saying is, this relationship is happening on my terms, and if you're not willing to participate with me in my version of reality, I'm not doing this with you. This is hard because it puts you into this position where it's like you need to make a choice between your own sense of what's right and wrong or theirs. But the good news is that there are some ways of diffusing this that are pretty effective. So first of all, for the silent treatment, just be mature. Call, send a text, assuming they haven't blocked you. I understand you're upset and you need some space, but complete shutdowns like this are not healthy. They are not good for our relationship. And I hope that we can talk through whatever is going on like adults. Let me know when you're ready. And send that text one time and then stop. The ball is in their court. Do not get dragged into apologizing, groveling, saying, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again, particularly if you don't believe that you've done anything wrong, just to lure them back in the ring with you. That is not a good plan. Send the text, invite them to engage in healthy communication, and then see what they do with it. If they persist, that is probably not a healthy relationship for you to be in anyway. Now, one final thing we'll talk about is gaslighting. You may have been waiting, like, when is she going to talk about gaslighting? Okay, gaslighting is a real thing, and it happens in abusive relationships that are characterized by power and control tactics. Gaslighting is what happens when someone makes you question your own reality of what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, what you think. Like, did that happen? Who do I trust? And it's generally organized around an effort to make you accept their reality over your own. It's also true that gaslighting, like real deal gaslighting, is quite rare. And there are a lot of people, like typically social media influencers, who are listening to other social media influencers talk about gaslighting. So the people in our culture have taken on this term and will now view somebody disagreeing with them, having a different opinion, perhaps even just being plain old defensive as, you're gaslighting me. You're invalidating my feelings. You're gaslighting me. No, this is not gaslighting. This is like normal garden variety relational conflict. And there is an opportunity to learn and grow and improve this with somebody that you care about. Labeling them as gaslighting you is not actually helpful. I will also say that a highly effective manipulation technique is telling somebody that they're gaslighting you. You don't like what they're saying. They're disagreeing with you. They have a different opinion. How dare you? You're gaslighting me, you narcissist. Like, if you're in a relationship where that is happening, totally okay. Laugh in their face, be like, really? I can't even believe you're doing this to me right now. And just call it for what it is. And it just might stop it in their tracks. So I hope that this conversation was helpful for you today to get some visibility into some of the most common manipulation techniques that people use and how to see them coming, what to do with them when they do show up. And if you would like more on this, I invite you to come to my website, Growing Self-Counseling and Coaching. You can find a whole podcast where I do a deep dive into all of this and more. And if you're interested, you can set up a free consultation session with myself or one of the other amazing therapists on my team. If hearing this video is making you think, I have some things to work on in my relationships, we are here for you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time.